selama 20 tahun.
As the full weight of Indonesian law fell on Schapelle Corby, she appeared not to understand quite what had happened. Then, after checking with her interpreter, it began to sink in. She turned to glare at prosecutors, then uttered her only words, "Mum, it's okay." Looking a very long way from home, Schapelle Corby cried at the prospect of jail till she's 47 years old. At the back of the court, there was the same confusion at first, then bitter fury from Corby's sister and mother, directed squarely at the judges.
It's not all right! We swore on the Bible to tell the truth and your fellow lied!
It was a hammer blow for a family that had held out hope against the seemingly inevitable, even as they'd arrived at court.
My daughter's coming home. She'll be coming home. Okay?
There was little over the first hour and a half of the judgment to indicate which way the decision might flow, and Schapelle Corby even looked relaxed at times. But that all fell away as the judges began to spell out how they judged the witnesses in the case. The Indonesian customs officials who'd found the marijuana in Schapelle Corby's bag were accepted as truthful. Every single defence witness, those who'd tried to suggest someone else planted the drugs, were ruled as irrelevant to the judgment. Friends, relatives, a baggage handler and prisoner John Ford. None of them could prove who else had planted the drugs, the judges said. Then the judges turned to Corby herself, saying she was convincingly proved to have trafficked the drugs. The actions of the accused were a danger to the community, the judges read. This was a transnational crime that could damage the minds of young people. The die had been cast. Before she was led away, Schapelle Corby fought past police to embrace her mother. Her last words before leaving court sounding as if she was seeking spiritual solace.
There's way, and you'll get what you want in his own time, and you'll get it better.
Then, as she left for prison, a last exchange.
Schapelle, you will come home! Our government will bring you home!
Left behind were her lawyers, castigated by the judges and deeply worried about their client.
I don't think she can survive.
But outside, it was a far angrier mood.
To all our family and friends, we love you all. Schapelle is innocent. This verdict is unjust. The case now enters a new phase and will stand by Schapelle every step of the way. Our lawyers have done their best, and with the support of all the Australians, thank you, Schapelle will be coming home soon. I didn't even know we had a bloody trial. We didn't take any real witnesses into account.
And then it was all over. A last few scrambled seconds and Schapelle Corby was spirited off to Crobacan prison. A media spectacle to the end.
Tim, those scenes in court today were quite extraordinary. What do people in Indonesia make of the whole drama surrounding the Corby case?
Not very much at all. Very few Indonesians here today because the other courts were in fact closed. Judges were on seminars. I think that indicates that this is very much a one-way phenomenon coming from the direction of Australia. Most Indonesian national newspapers have scarcely carried a story on Schapelle Corby. The Balinese papers have run through the story to some extent, and it was front page a couple of days ago, but previously there's only been one day on which a national newspaper has carried this story front page here. Most Indonesians wouldn't know anything about the case, although I think people here were certainly mystified by the enormous media attention that was directed at this case, and dozens of police had to be drafted here as a result.
One thing that people here were quite surprised about was how outspoken the judges were during the case. They virtually preempted their verdict. Does that usually happen?
If you ask the judges, they'd say that wasn't the meaning of what they said. There's a fairly technical meaning to when they say someone hasn't been convincingly proven innocent, but they then wait to the rest of the parts of the case. And that's what happened in the judgment today. But certainly there are quirks here that judges are able to talk about the case to journalists during the case, possibly mitigated by the fact that there is no jury here to contaminate in any way, and also the way that suspects are brought in and out of courts amid such scenes. But I think the basis of this is that this was a prima facie case that in almost any jurisdiction in any different legal system in the world probably would have proceeded, and a defence anywhere in the world would have had a similarly difficult task to overturn a prosecution case that started with such a strong piece of evidence of a person trying to cross a national frontier with a piece of luggage they said was theirs, carrying a trafficable quantity of drugs.